everyone, and welcome to Now You Can, our monthly expo show celebrating the game-changing world of low-code, no-code for financial markets. I'm your host, Georgie Barrett, and I'm delighted to be guiding you through this month's lineup of talks, demos, and more. So today, we're going to be exploring legacy innovation and how low-code, no-code transforms cumbersome vendor solutions in a fraction of the time and cost. Legacy systems exist in almost all areas of the financial services industries. These tend to be platforms or applications that were built many years ago, sometimes even decades ago, to perform a very specific operation in a repeatable way, making them hard to change and adapt. Low-code, no-code offers a new, agile, buy-to-build approach, needs to access the new speed of innovation and remedy the problems of legacy. So, to get us underway, I'm going to hand over to CEO and co-founder Stephen Murphy for a company update. After that, we'll hear from Chris Anderson, Platform Product Manager, and we will be discussing some of the exciting Q2 tech developments and some of the key technical capabilities that make Genesis the next-gen low-code, no-code platform for financial markets. I'll then be rejoined by Stephen to take a deeper look at how legacy transformation is achieved with low-code, no-code, and the approaches to accelerated delivery with Genesis. Finally, we'll turn back to the technology for a demo of legacy database transformation and how you can leverage existing assets and data to easily create live low-code applications. Don't forget, we will have the live breakout zone where you can chat with and ask questions of the low-code, no-code experts. With that said, let's dive into the show.
Hi, and welcome to our Now You Can Summer Special event. As always, whether you are watching this live or on demand, and wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us. Today, we are dedicating an entire event to a number of updates for the Genesis platform that we're really excited to share with you. As mentioned in previous updates, at Genesis, we're continuing to invest more and more into the Genesis low-code and no-code platform. We recently announced to the market a new quarterly platform release, which included a variety of new no-code tooling. This no-code tooling is allowing more of the non-technical resources to build applications on the platform, ranging from business analysts all the way through to traders and operational users. We have a number of global tier 1 clients who have seen the extreme speed with which they can build applications themselves using the Genesis platform. We have some upcoming press releases to share with you on some great new client partnerships. These clients are also getting the ability to directly influence the platform roadmap we have for this year and into 2022. This client collaboration, interaction, and product strategy feedback loop is extremely important to us at Genesis and the industry as a whole. These are true client partnerships, further illustrating how Genesis is the leading next-generation low-code, no-code platform built for the financial markets. As you can probably tell from our studios that I'm in London for the first time in over 18 months. It is great to be in London seeing clients, investors, as well as the Genesis team. We have grown from 50 people at the beginning of the year to over 110 people today. We have our new Miami office and are expanding globally with new team members in new country locations, including Australia and Chile. You would also have seen the client press release of our partnership with Bradesco. This is extremely important for us as we show how a complete bank-in-a-box suite of applications can be built on the Genesis platform. Another proof point of disrupting the traditional buy versus build to a new world of what we call buy to build. Thanks again for being part of the Genesis Now You Can event. Please do reach out to us to see the demo of the Genesis platform and understand how we can help you drastically reduce both time to market and cost of software delivery with Genesis. Code less and do more.
Fantastic update. Thank you very much, Stephen. Right, now it's time to talk a bit about the Genesis platform and its evolution. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Chris Anderson, our Platform Product Manager at Genesis. A warm welcome to you, Chris. Now, Chris, last time on the show, back in July, you were speaking about some of the key updates that were happening to the Genesis platform. Could you give us a quick recap of exactly what you've been up to in Q2?
Absolutely, Georgie. So for our major release in July for Q2, we had the key themes of simplicity. So how do we make it even easier for our users to create complex, real-time financial markets applications, number one. Two, rich user experiences. How do we really empower our users to build incredibly rich user experiences in their applications? And finally, number three is performance. So how do we continue to think about and improve performance in everything we do? And all of these themes tie back to our core proposition, which is, of course, accelerating IT delivery for the financial markets.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've outlined three really lovely key themes there. Let's unpick those themes a little bit more, shall we? So the first one you spoke about was simplicity. Can you talk us through some of the key things that the Genesis platform delivers when it comes to simplicity?
I can indeed. So let's start with simplicity. So the kinds of applications that we support in financial markets are complex, first of all. So they're real-time, they're high performance, and to boot, we have to operate in a highly regulated environment. So it's complex. Our entire mission, of course, is to reduce this complexity. It's something we're fairly good at already, being a low-code, no-code platform, but we always want to improve and continue to push the boundaries there. So, setting the scene. So in Q2, we released the Application Composer. And this is a simple way to design an application and its data model, and then deploy that as a high-performance, microservices-based application. I won't go into too much more detail about that because we actually demoed the Application Composer in the last Expo, but this new tool is the foundation for a raft of enhancements on the platform.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that demo. Okay, so that's simplicity covered. Let's go on to the next theme, which is user experience. How do you create a really rich user experience?
So in Q2, we did a couple of big things when it comes to our user experience. So number one, we upgraded our web framework to Microsoft Fast, which is a next generation web technology. And two, we also released our new UI design system, Genesis Rapid, which is our library of out-of-the-box UI components. So with these two enhancements, our clients can now build richer user interfaces faster than before, using components which are purpose-built for the demands of the financial markets.
You know, what I really like about user experience is that it's not just about the sort of the technical aspect, it's actually bringing in the human element and making sure that translates between the two. Okay, brilliant. So that was user experience. And the final theme is performance. Talk us through how you're enhancing performance.
We've actually done a lot of things around performance, but the big update in Q2 was our move to Java 11. So a major aspect of building high-performance systems is how do you measure performance? And that's actually quite difficult because the very act of measuring a system will introduce overhead, and that can negatively impact performance. So Java 11 comes with a profiling tool with almost no performance overhead, and it's called Java Flight Recorder. And we can use this tool to more easily measure systems in production without impact. So we already do use something similar for the Genesis platform itself, but Java 11 and Flight Recorder gives us new possibilities here to expose this to our users so they can profile their own applications built using low code.
Brilliant. So you actually can actually see whether the performance is improving over time.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered those three themes. Let's speak about the future now. What's on the horizon? What can we get excited about?
So a couple of highlights I can talk about. So as I mentioned earlier, we're always trying to accelerate our users, and Q3 is no exception. And the highlight of Q3 will be the launch of Genesis Studio, which is our new combined UI for creating low-code applications for the financial markets. And our goal here is to enable an end-to-end experience of creating the main parts of a Genesis application through a UI being Genesis Studio. So the steps we'll be able to support are defining a data model, first of all, designing the user interface, deploying your application to a server, and then seeing it running. And that's going to involve a lot of work.
It sounds like a lot of work. It sounds incredibly complicated with quite a few moving parts. I mean, what would you say is the most challenging thing when it comes to putting something like that together?
It is complex, and Q3 is just the first version. We will continue to invest and refine and improve long after that. The most challenging thing, I would say, is really bridging the gap between the world of developers who prefer their IDE versus those who prefer a more graphical and visual way of working. And we do want to continue to support both ways of working and giving our clients the choice. So we've had to come up with a seamless workflow between the two. So from Q3, you'll be able to start designing your application in Genesis Studio, the new UI. From there, you can generate a project along with all the metadata you need and code, and commit that automatically to Git, to source control, directly from Genesis Studio. And then you can pull all of that down from Git to your desktop and continue your local development on your desktop.
Correct.
And crucially though, the important thing is this is not a one-way street. So when you start doing changes locally, you can then commit those back to the Git repo, and they will then be visible in Genesis Studio. So this sort of two-way directional flow is a major design goal of what we wanted to achieve for Q3.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing that come to life. Anything beyond Q3 you can tell us about?
Maybe. So, so in Q3, something we're super excited about is we have a few new clients joining us. So we're really excited about that. And we know that their engagement with us will really drive the platform and new requirements. So I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into those. In terms of themes, we're currently investigating a few different things. So first of all, how do we enable richer user flows and interactions for Genesis applications? Something that's very important for us. Number two, how can we further simplify event handling and calculations and the complexities and bring more of this business logic into Genesis Studio? And finally, we're also looking into enhancing our integrations functionality and bringing that into Genesis Studio too. So I think you get the picture. Genesis Studio really is the cornerstone of everything we're doing with the platform for this year, and it's a major investment for us.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for talking through those highlights and some of the things that we look forward to seeing. Right, now let's turn our attention back to the industry themes as we discuss how financial market firms can achieve legacy innovation. The Genesis application platform allows you to deliver in weeks, not years, reducing work effort by more than 80%. Financial market firms are often weighed down with legacy estates, technology stacks that are expensive to maintain and change, which are only made worse by a severe IT skills shortage. Low-code, no-code can help firms transform inefficient workflows and seamlessly integrate with legacy systems to deliver agile innovation in a fraction of the time and cost. Well, I'm back again with Stephen to explore how low-code, no-code and the Genesis platform allows firms to reduce work effort and reimagine workflows. Stephen, let's start by just talking about what we actually mean by legacy innovation.
That's a great question. So legacy innovation is really two things. It can be a firm's legacy internal technology stack, or it can be legacy vendor technologies. In the financial markets, there's been a huge amount of investment in technology, probably 30, 40 years. That's actually breeded a lot of legacy vendors, which have a lot of legacy technologies, as well as legacy business models, but also legacy internal technology. And legacy innovation is taking that technology or being able to migrate or transform those technologies, whether or not it's transforming their internal technology or transforming their vendor technologies onto a new technology stack.
And that's what you guys do at Genesis. Can you speak a little bit more about how the actual platform accelerates development and just really improve delivery time?
That's a great question. With the platform, it comes with a lot of no-code tools. And some of those no-code tools, let's take a really basic example. Lots of firms have real legacy relational databases. And they're so caught up into these databases and this data which has been stored there. So with the Genesis low-code, no-code platform, one of the example tools is a relational database migration tool. And what that does is when you run that script and that tool on that relational database, within seconds it migrates it into the Genesis platform. Not only does it migrate the data schemas, the data servers, the transactions to be able to interact with that data, it also provides a connection back into the legacy database. Why is that really important? Because then it's not a all or nothing jump from a legacy system. What you can do is then run both of those in parallel. And when you can run both of those in parallel, it reduces your operational risk, your operational cost, and gives you an ability to transform with as least risk as possible.
And surely it must accelerate the time for your customers to actually sort of transfer over to the new system. And what does that actually mean for them? What's the benefit?
That's a great question. I think most things right now, especially in the financial markets, is all about innovation.
Right.
Everyone is paying, really, we have a low-code, no-code platform. Really what it is they're buying speed.
Yeah.
They're buying the ability to innovate at speed. So when you look at that, that makes it one extremely competitive. They can start launching new products, but they can also react to regulatory demands even quicker or compliance demands even quicker. But being able to offer their end clients innovation is game-changing in our industry. I think it's game-changing in pretty much every industry right now, but really it's that time to market.
Yeah. Very, very important. And the platform doesn't just sort of solve simple workflow automation problems. It actually does really, really complicated stuff. What specifically about the platform allows you to do that?
That's a really good point. So I think what you've seen in what we call first generation low-code, no-code platforms, they're very much BPM, RPA. BPM is business process management, RPA is robotic process automation.
Yeah.
A lot of hype about that right now. With our next generation low-code, no-code platform, it's built on something called EDA, event-driven architecture. Event-driven architecture is all about being able to do things extremely high performant.
Yeah.
Low latency, resilient. I have a great example. I was recently on a panel 3 weeks ago with another no-code CEO.
Yes.
And his definition of complex was actually that they process 100,000 FX trades a minute. Our definition of complex is 500,000 equity trades a second.
Wow.
These are magnitudes different. So I think it's been the first generation low-code, no-code platforms have served a great purpose. You mentioned earlier there's been a lack of IT resources.
Yes.
Our focus was actually on supercharging developer resources so they can do even more and even quicker. And the no-code tooling is then allowing that to extend to more non-IT developer type resources. So I would say the main characteristics are the type of use case we are solving is real core systems, not these BPM, RPA type use cases, although the platform does get used for that now. And that's part of this no-code tooling and why today the whole platform, really now you can for platforms, been so important to us.
Absolutely. And I really like the fact that you are empowering people to actually make those changes themselves because it is easy to use, that user experience. Okay, if there was just one message about legacy and low code, no code, what would that message be?
Wow, I think now you do, especially with Genesis, you do really have a platform that can help migrate those legacy systems for you. One way we're very different as well to other cross-industry generic low-code, no-code platforms is that within the Genesis platform, you've got lots of out-the-box vendor integrations. So you've truly got a platform that knows the vendor integrations you've had in the past. They've got predefined data schemas, so they know what an FX trade is. We know what an equity allocation is. So I think when you combine all of that we've got an event-driven architecture, we know the vendor integrations, we know the pain that our clients have gone through because we went through them, and we know data models, workflows. You combine all of that, you can really disrupt what was called before buy versus build to what we're now called, and really is resonating right now, buy to build. You now have a platform that's going to get you 95% of the way there. And that last 5% is very easy to do. Whereas with the old vendors, what you have is you're 70% there and you can't change anything. And it's extremely hard to integrate. And why would you want to build that tech stack yourself if we're going to get you all the way there? So I would say, so that was a long answer to your question. But I would say one thing I would take now is that with the Genesis platform, you can buy to build. And that's a complete new paradigm which is changing our industry.
Buy to build. Stephen, thank you very much. Always
Likewise.
great chatting to you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Welcome to the tech part of the show. We're here to talk about the latest and greatest from the platform team at Genesis. I'm Chris Anderson, Platform Product Manager, and I'm joined by my colleague Jose Pozo, Head of Core Development. Welcome, Jose.
Hi, Chris.
So Jose, today's expo is all about the theme of legacy innovation. So maybe we can start there. So how would you define legacy innovation? What does it mean for you?
Sure. Legacy innovation means replacing or complementing existing applications. The reason to do that is because they're no longer fit for purpose. Mm-hmm. There can be many reasons why this could be the case. For example, new requirements. It is difficult to implement new requirements in legacy systems. And they might not just be business functionality, but also non-functional requirements like performance improvements. Another factor is risk. Perhaps the legacy application is not auditable enough. This represents a risk to the company. And potentially, it might be full of manual procedures, which also represent an operational risk. Last but not least, cost. These legacy applications might not be as good as they used to in terms of ROI. So for us, legacy innovation is all about empowering firms to build new applications as fast as they can, creating new components and solutions using the Genesis platform.
I think I definitely agree with that definition. That certainly is representative of what I hear when I speak to clients and prospects. And if I can add to that as well, if I may, there's a couple of other key themes I hear as well, which are regulation. So maybe the existing system is no longer compliant with regulation and needs to be replaced. And another thing is just complexity. So maybe it's just too complex to maintain, but also for end users to use as well. So I think we're quite aligned on the definition of what is legacy, what is a legacy system and what is legacy innovation. But the million-dollar question, I guess, is how? How do we actually empower our clients to go on this legacy innovation journey? Could you talk us a bit about that?
Well, first of all, there's two different use cases at hand. The first one would be to extend the current capabilities of the legacy system, and the second one would be to replace. So both of them are closely related. But in the first case, we're looking to implement new solutions using new technology and perhaps communicating the legacy software with the new software using middleware. In the second case, you're looking at replacing a whole application. The usual approach is to replace bit by bit and ensure that each piece of functionality works as expected by running in parallel both new and old applications. But for both of these options, absolute data integration is key. And we have a range of tooling in the Genesis platform to automate this.
That last point really resonates. It's definitely something that comes up a lot when we speak to clients, that existing legacy applications have these data silos, and it's really a huge challenge to get the data out and into modern infrastructure. And it doesn't have to be a challenge. So Jose, I know you've kindly prepared a demo for us today. I'd love it if you could talk us a bit about what you're going to show today.
Of course, we're all about acceleration. Our main goal is to empower our clients to go further and faster, and it's the same story for legacy innovation. What I'm going to show you today is how you can leverage existing assets, such as a legacy database, to bootstrap a Genesis no-code application. And then I'll show how you can receive live updates from these data sources. This is a pattern many of our clients use continuously to replace or supplement existing legacy applications.
Sounds fantastic. Shall we have a look at the demo?
Of course, let's do it. So what I'm showing you here is a relational database. In this case, is SQL Server, Microsoft-based. We have a database schema. It represents an example of a financial application. So you can see all the indexes, columns. It's just a traditional SQL schema. So the main purpose of this demo is to extract information from this database schema and bootstrap a Genesis application, as I said. And we're going to focus on the company table as we go through our journey.
Okay.
So as you can see, there are several indexes, unique, non-unique, primary keys, columns. But the most important thing is, how do we actually connect to it and get the information out? We're going to show the Dictionary Builder. Dictionary Builder is one of our command line applications, which allows you to connect to different relational databases like Oracle, SQL Server, and Postgres, and extract all the metadata and transform it into a Genesis data schema format. It has all the built-in functionality you can think of, at least in terms of basic integration. You will receive all the necessary information to compare the SQL schema against the newly built Genesis schema.
Okay. And if I could just jump in for a second. So Dictionary Builder is a fully featured, rich command line interface. But we also are working on a way to do this in a visual way as well. So that's coming on the roadmap. Sorry, Jose, please continue.
Exactly. So if we continue with the demo, we see we have a help command, which will guide you through the options available. All of them very relevant, like database name, host, port, password, etc. Once we execute it, it will scan all the relevant tables. We can choose just a few tables using command line parameters if we need to, instead of the whole schema. And the next thing is we are going to be able to check the generated files. So there will be a fields file. The fields file will contain a representation of all the different fields in the SQL server, abstracted away into a Genesis fields file. And the tables file will contain a table representation for all the SQL Server database tables, as you can see here. Mm-hmm. We also provide, as mentioned before, the SQL schema representation as well for reference.
Okay, so that's you can double check the translation, for example.
Exactly.
Okay. Fantastic.
But what about using this in the Genesis platform? What you can see here is Server Composer, App Composer, Studio Composer, our Studio Composer suite, which allows you to define and work with database schemas in a no-code fashion. So you can now see the fields are imported into the system, as well as the tables.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jose. So just to recap what we've done, so we've taken a legacy existing relational database, we've generated a Genesis schema from that and imported that into our Genesis Studio application. You can now amend or make any changes to that you want to do. I suppose the next question one might have is, what about the data? We've got the schema, but what about the data? How does that get into the system?
That's a good question, because the data is already there, and I can show it to you. So let's build a quick GUI to show the company table and its data. We're not looking at the company table here, and how can we show it in a Genesis application? Mm-hmm. First of all, we need to build a new page.
Okay.
And this page needs a root. So starting with the root definition, we can define a title, a URL path as companies, make it public, and add it to our Studio Composer. Now, as we save the changes, we can visit the Pages section, select our root, and create a new grid, which will connect to the company backend resource, mm-hmm. which provides the information and data. We do not need the record ID or timestamp fields, so we're going to remove them. And we can now save our grid. The next step is deployment. Once we save our page and our changes, we want to get all of these changes deployed to an environment so we can start testing. Mm-hmm. As you can see here, there is a deploy functionality that allows us to deploy both the server and the front-end functionality we've just built to a real environment. If there is an issue, we will be able to see the cancellation reason or the failure reason here as well. Mm-hmm. And what you see here is the end result. This is a grid being powered by the no-code grid we've just defined.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jose. So from a legacy innovation perspective, that actually gets us quite far. We've generated a new application and schema, and we've pulled in the data from the existing database. We're now ready to start implementing business logic. So we've skipped past a lot of the boilerplate difficult stuff. You also mentioned in the demo that you were going to show a live integration, so live data coming from the database back into the Genesis application. Could you show us how you would do that in Genesis?
Indeed. So generating the schema and populating the initial data is usually not enough. Most of our use cases in legacy innovation also require a live data feed. For this purpose, we have implemented multiple integrations into change data capture systems, if they're available for a particular database type, or we can just use database triggers. For this particular use case, we have used database triggers. The way we defined the solution was to create an update queue table, and this update queue table can be populated every time a new record has been created, amended, or perhaps amended or deleted in the database.
Fantastic. Shall we have a look at the demo?
Let's see this live update. What I'm showing you here is dbeaver. It's the same interface I've shown you before. allows us to connect to a relational database. And I'm just going to enter a new record in the company table. What you will see after this is how quickly we can check the data has arrived into the Genesis GUI.
So we're adding a new row, a new company, and this should be reflected in our application.
Exactly. And you can see it here now.
Perfect. So like that, we can capture any changes to a database, and that'll get reflected immediately in the Genesis application. So today, and our demo has been mainly centered around databases, they're a huge part of the legacy innovation story, but they're not the only data source or type of integration that we need to completely replace or extend a legacy application. So other integrations that we might need, of course, are financial market specific integrations like market data, fixed connectivity, and connectivity to downstream systems, for example. But there are a whole load of integrations that you might need to fully replace and to extend a legacy system.
Indeed, databases aren't the only option, but one of the most common. In addition to native integration you mentioned, we also support Apache Camel. We have embedded this amazing open source framework into Genesis, which gives us an entry point to so many different systems which produce or consume data. So our goal here is that whatever data it is and wherever it is, we should be able to import it into a Genesis application very easily in order to enable the legacy innovation journey.
So before we wrap up today, Jose, legacy innovation is a huge theme and use case for us at Genesis, and something we're always eager to kind of build upon and improve our capabilities. What's next from your perspective as head of core development? What's on the roadmap in terms of integration and legacy innovation?
As you know, we're always evolving and we're always looking for the next best thing. So we're looking into integration with Debezium as a technology for database data feeds, as well as integrating all the features you've seen in our new Genesis Studio no-code tooling, plus adding new database types to our existing capabilities.
Okay, so plenty of enhancements in the pipeline in the realm of legacy innovation to look forward to. So Jose, thank you so much for joining us today and going through this demo. Georgie, back over to you.
Well, thank you very much to Jose and to Chris. Now, as a bonus to the show, we have a special financial markets industry themed discussion with Stephen. Let's have a little look.
So legacy innovation at Genesis is a combination of two things. One, it could be legacy vendor technology or legacy in-house technology. What legacy innovation means to us actually is you can actually migrate from those. It could be a vendor, it could be your in-house technology, or what you can actually do is also slim down. You can actually allow you to transform piece by piece of that legacy technology. So in some cases, we actually allow you to have vendor integrations and or transformation tools from a database or an Excel type use case. If you do not address legacy technologies or vendor systems, you have a huge amount of operational risk and cost. There's actually something even probably more important, it's innovation. If you do not give yourself the capabilities to innovate from these technologies, with a lot of legacy vendors, you're going to be restricted by the functionality you have. They will not be able to integrate to new technologies. The importance of innovating right now is it gives you the time to market to change your business and or be able to adapt to new business models. With Genesis next generation low-code, no-code application platform, you get an amazing set of tools which allow you to transform legacy vendors or legacy in-house technologies. You also have all of the financial markets components which allow you to transform even faster and quicker. So if we talk about the tools, relational database migrations, out of the box. If you think about FX trading, data schemas, out of the box. If you think about vendor integrations to treasury, legacy vendor platforms, out of the box. This allows you to transform quicker, faster, easier, and better. Legacy innovation, why is it important? It's important because of operational costs. You may have a variety of on-prem legacy infrastructure you need to transform. But it's not just about the infrastructure. The software you have, it could be relational databases. It could be legacy systems that you cannot change anymore. So by transforming legacy infrastructure and vendor technologies, you're liberating yourself to be able to innovate and most importantly, give you time to market. give you that ability to design, build, and deploy at speed so that you can offer your clients innovative solutions, reduced operational cost, reduced operational risk, but change the market industry. Great example of legacy innovation is a tier 1 global investment bank was looking to migrate their Microsoft SQL Server infrastructure onto the cloud. They believed that would take them over 36 months. We had that built, done, integrated, completed in less than 9 months. To find out more, please head to genesis.global.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show. If you'd like to learn more about how Genesis is solving the problems of legacy estates with low-code, no-code, then just head to genesis.global. Also, be sure to sign up for next month's Expo using the footer below and download the platform press release. Thank you again to all of our guests for joining us today and to our audience for dialing into the show. The breakout zone is now open and our platform experts are ready to talk to you. So head on over to chat with the team and ask any questions you might have. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.
What are the people at Genesis like?
Everyone's very welcoming. Everyone is very team-oriented. We're constantly, because of the nature of our work, we don't just work in silos.
The people at Genesis, they are passionate people, they are smart people, tech-driven, business-driven, and very friendly.
Everyone here is really passionate about what they do and also incredibly knowledgeable, so I really learn a lot from everyone.
It is a fabulous experience in that people are really enthusiastic, they're collaborative, they're innovative, they're creative.
One of the main things I look for when in my job is to learn a lot, especially as a technologist, and Genesis really offers that.
This is a team of people that are great at what they do.
I feel my opinions are respected here. They are so knowledgeable, they believe in knowledge sharing. It's fun to work with all of them.
You know, people here are very open, very creative, very competent in what they do, and we encourage and foster people to, you know, go beyond just what the scope is, and so it's really dynamic and rewarding, I think, intellectually and as a development as well for everyone.
I would describe the culture at Genesis as being ambitious, as being creative, as being collaborative.
At Genesis, you're always learning. It doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 20 years or you're a new graduate. I think everybody's learning.
I would say it's collaborative, it's fast-paced, delivery-driven.
The culture at Genesis is very energetic, very passionate, but also really supportive.
Very friendly, very hardworking, ambitious.
Really supportive. Coming into Genesis from the outside, you're instantly welcomed. You feel that you all have one vision, so there's a collective ownership in what you're doing, and I think there's something about that in delivering something together, which is really empowering.
My work is important here, my work is valued, and I can see what I do every day adds value to the company.
As a salesperson, you need to believe in what you're selling, and I absolutely do believe in Genesis and what we're trying to do.
I love the people, the culture, the climate, the opportunity, the ambition.